Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019, 6 p.m. Calling the Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. Is there anyone recording this other than the Board of Health and Lake Cam? I see no one. First on the agenda, 350 Bedford Street.
No.
Oh, I skipped a part already. First on the agenda, reorganization of Board of Health members. We have to reorganize the board. Any preference on, we'll start with the
If
chairman?
you want to do it, do it. If you don't, I don't mind.
No, I think
We're still good with that?
Yeah, just get it going now.
What do we want to do with the 2nd?
I'll make it temporary for 3 months, see if you can get the
Temporary.
meetings to move any faster.
We
and
can
then
change
talk
at
about
any
it.
point, right?
I'll make a motion, Derek stays the chairman for the next year.
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. Second member?
I'll make a motion, Chris is the second member.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstained.
And the third member, I entertain a motion to make Bob Lucci the third member.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You didn't second it? Oh, I had it, I couldn't.
You can't, you
I
have to-
can't.
you
But
have
you
to
didn't
abstain.
abstain. I was too busy waiting for you to do it, right? You can't entertain one.
So I
It
second?
never got seconded. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do it correctly again.
Come on, it's been a year. I thought I had you all,
I
the
entertain
stuff
a
all squared
motion.
away.
You can step down and
To
say.
make Bob Lucci the third member.
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstained. All right.
Next on the agenda, 350 Bedford Street.
Is anyone here for this? No.
So Kevin, you can just update us on that one?
Yeah, Nia had briefed me, the structure, the shed there that houses the blower and all the components, technically needs to go before the ZBA. So this is more of a technicality. We on, I can't remember the meeting that we had, where we approved the septic plan as designed.
Yep.
But they were supposed to,
Because it doesn't meet the 40-foot setback for commercial?
so for myself, I endorse it because that's gonna upgrade that whole system. And
much on there.
they're limited to space, obviously, with the parking lot and everything they're trying to do there.
Yeah.
And those are critical components for that,
I'll make a motion. We send a letter to the ZBA and ask them to approve that shed location because it's the only place on the property that it can go.
And it's on the per approved plan.
Yeah, on the approved, as approved on the plan.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next on the agenda, 23 Twin Oaks Road, Board of Appeals petition. I'm going to recuse myself from this one.
Is anyone here for this? Twin Oaks? Go on, Mr. Two.
So an update on this one is, this is also gonna go before the ZBA, that's why it's in front of the board tonight. If you recall, originally, our board, unfortunately had to decline their petition to put what they felt was a permanent structure over a septic tank. The engineer at that time said he was gonna verify if that tank was H20 or not. At the meeting, he thought it was. It wasn't. He thought it was H10. Right now, they're before the ZBA because now they want to put a temporary structure. And now, my last discussion with the engineer, he said that he would verify through the original engineer if that was H20 or not, and if it wasn't, they would make a means to secure that for proper loading.
Okay, if anybody watching, Derek accused himself because he installed it years ago. When he looked into it, he installed that septic. The driveway at the time was for the zoning board. I'm gonna make a motion, you send a letter, but let the zoning board know. At the time it went in, the driveway was on the other side of the property, and we have pictures showing that. So, that wasn't an H20 tank. So, and I guess from their discussions with the building inspector, they were under the assumption that as long as it was really a temporary portable one that 4 people could move, that they had the permission to do that, which we all know was not correct. Derek said he'd consider that if that's something they wanted to do, but they'd still have to address the septic tank. So I'll make a motion, we send a letter to the zoning board. We tell them that we still have concerns with this tank. It would need to be we ask them to hold off any approvals until it's upgraded to an H20 tank, or they make modifications that it will meet the loading of driving on, and put a restriction on it when that's done, that it is actually a temporary carport, that at any time 4 people can unscrew and pick up and move.
Second.
Okay.
Any discussion?
No?
All those in favor?
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
come on back in. 20 Johnson Drive.
And that's a betterment approval process.
Yeah,
Is anyone here for that? No. Are we all good with it?
I have to print out the total, but I think I gave you guys, or it's on there when you sign off on it. But it's, the applications are, ready to go. Send it off to a couple minute page for the amount of, I didn't, I can't,
15,970,
Yeah.
that's the total.
They already looked at it, right? Because they have a bill in there for it.
yeah.
Yeah. So is it there for us to sign tonight?
Yes. Everything's ready to sign, and we just have to approve it for
I'll make a motion, we approve the betterment for 20 Johnson Drive for the amount of $15,970.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. And now what everybody must be here for.
Do you want me to just see if Nate's here?
Yeah.
Real quick.
He said he didn't think he was gonna be able to come for this.
Okay.
He told me, I talked to him, he came to do some inspections for me. He said you asked him to, but he wasn't gonna be able to come unless
Okay.
I thought we really needed him. So.
I'll leave this for you.
Thank you.
All right, I'll start this, I guess. We're here because there's questions on if we need Title V's for the people to tie into the water. As I understood how we approved it, they did need one to get the plumbing permit to tie into it, unless they were gonna leave the home seasonal, in which case that woman that came, that runs the association, said they were gonna have a way to do that. So the people, if they were still gonna use the home seasonally, they'd be able to shut them off in the fall and we'd know who. So, I don't know that we voted, Nate thinks it's a good idea for those people who aren't gonna be there all year, that, when they get their plumbing permit, we either have them have a Title V or a deed restriction to a seasonal home with the, language on it that it can be taken off at any time by the owner with a clean Title V or a new septic system. And I'm fine with that. I don't know how you guys feel, but I thought that was a fine solution.
And in the application, it doesn't say anything about the seasonal. I know I agree with Bob, it's, we discussed it, I remember on the seasonal, they
Yeah.
weren't converting it.
Yeah,
weren't
they
gonna
didn't wanna
make
do
'em.
it, they said they were gonna have a
'Cause it
way,
wasn't gonna be an
actually
increase
that
in
woman,
flow.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have been me, I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember the conversation exactly. You
Yeah,
had a
because-
lady come in
It was you, now that I saw you.
Yeah.
but
you
somebody
came
who
in and we
doesn't
asked
want
you.
to change.
If somebody doesn't wanna be year-round, you were gonna have, shut-offs and you'd shut them off in the, winter. And then we wouldn't make them do a Title V.
I know there's gonna be meters, so there's a way to, I believe, shut them off.
Yeah, there should be a
right?
curb,
I mean, to be able to shut the meters down.
curb shut off at the end of,
However, I don't know that we actually agreed to that. That sounds like something that could be done, but I don't think we agreed to help put deed restrictions on people's properties. that's between you and the homeowner. However, I don't know how many people are gonna opt to have a deed restriction put on, but I think, it's fair to ask them if you
If they're
intend
gonna
on.
be seasonal, they're gonna need to, because or they're gonna have to get a Title V and fail. So if they know their house has failed, they don't wanna do a Title V, so that they don't only have a 2-year clock to have their water turned on, to get their water permit to turn it on, we're giving them the option of staying seasonal. If they don't wanna stay seasonal, then they can get a Title V and put a new septic system in and only stay in the house seasonal. We did that to help, not to hurt people. We did that to help the people who really only use the houses seasonally.
Right.
And it's not
Because some people
unreasonable.
actually use it just for seasonal.
Right, I think there are many people that intend on using it, however, they've been using it all along. I don't know, some people are selling it, and the people who are buying it from them, may change their, change how they intend on using it, and I do think, obviously, some people will say, even if they're keeping it, said, I'm spending all this money, let me go ahead and do this. Just to be fair, because too, this is gonna be on TV, we never said we'd help put deed restrictions on, because that just sounds so horrible. But I understand where you're coming from, and of course you want people to, check their Title V, make sure the septic system's up to par. But I just wanted to throw my 2 cents.
Well, no,
to
we're
clear
not,
that
we're
up.
not gonna make them, to get a plumbing permit, as far as I'm concerned, we'll have to vote to be sure, but if you wanna hook up to that water, to get your plumbing permit, you're either gonna need to give us a clean Title V, or if you say, I don't really live there all year, I only use it in the winter, I don't wanna do that, cause once you do a Title V, and if you fail, you only have 2 years to put a septic system in, or the house gets condemned. So I didn't wanna do that to people. I was the one who wanted to make sure they could be shut off in the winter. So I wanted to make sure, so you can either get a Title V, if it fails, you have 2 years to put a septic system in, you can use it year round. Or you can say, I don't even wanna do it, cause once I test it and it fails, now the clock's ticking, I'm gonna have to do it. Here's a deed restriction, and the deed restriction's gonna be written in a way that you can take it off at any time. No board, no vote, no nothing. You can come to the Board of Health with a clean Title V or a new septic and get it taken off.
Alright, so I have 2 questions. How about for people who already have deed restrictions on it, they would just go ahead and get their permit, is that correct?
If somebody has a seasonal deed
If
restriction
their
already?
property already has a deed restriction, some of their deeds do have deed restrictions.
This
That
this
would-
application would make it, the way the process is they would come in, file, do the application, show a clean Title V, and they're connecting to the water, and that would remove their deed restriction.
The existing deed restriction.
The existing deed
Okay,
restriction.
That's,
But they'd have to demonstrate to the board
right.
that they're gonna go onto that water, and they have a Title V compliant septic system.
Now, I have a question in regards to, like a failing system. So, so someone's gonna come in, you wanna see the Title V inspection before you let them get the water,
I don't think.
or are they gonna be able to
Yes.
get the water,
No, they're gonna need a clean Title V or a deed restriction to get turned on.
to get turned on?
Yeah.
They're not gonna have any leeway, so,
So there was a 2-year window.
so come.
If they fail, they'll have a 2-year. If you get a
Okay,
Title
if they
V, then
fail.
you fail, you'll have 2 years to put a septic
Okay,
system
so
in.
come August, say, all of a sudden, we're switching that water over, a failed septic system's not gonna stop somebody from having water, it's just gonna stop the clock on them having to
It's gonna start the
rectify. So
clock.
you can
If they
still
wanna
provide
live- if
customers our water.
Yeah, if
Okay.
they wanna live there all year round, to get the plumbing permits from the building department to do the tie-ins, they're either gonna need to give us a clean Title V, a failed Title V, and say, we're living there year round and we know we got 2 years
So-
to
so
do
but
it.
a failed Title V isn't, a nail in the coffin for getting our water, we can still give them water, they just need to rectify their own situation.
Yeah, but that'll start the clock on
Right.
them, that they'll only have 2 years.
Because we want everybody to tie into the water.
Yeah, we want everyone to have
We want everybody,
compliant
there's
Title
a lot
Vs
of
too,
well
so
issues
leaking
down
into the
there.
lake,
And that's
so.
why not this town meeting, but the town meeting before, we bumped up the amount of money, like that betterment we gave out tonight. Now, we have, I think it's like $8 or $10 million. We have a ridiculous amount of
Oh,
money to lend
it's
people
higher
now.
than I originally thought it was.
So we can help, because
No,
we
we're
knew this
telling
was
people
coming,
about
so I
that as
pushed
well.
that. So people,
Yeah.
you don't need credit, you don't need anything. You can just come down, fill out the paperwork, and so we're, believe it or not, going out of our way to work with you guys to clean
No,
that up.
thank
We're doing everything we legally possibly can, because there was even question on that money if it could be a second home or not for those loans. And we
Primary.
made it clear that it didn't have to be a primary residence.
Oh, it doesn't have to be.
If you wanna put a septic system in,
okay.
we're gonna lend you the money.
Okay,
What,
Hi.
at what rate?
It's really
5%.
cheap. Yeah, it's something like 5%.
Very reasonable.
Yeah, it's whatever the
Goes on
state
your
You can
charges
do-
us.
You can do it the term you want, 5, 10, 15, 20 years the max.
Yeah, and it just goes in your tax bill. So now we're gonna give you the ability to get the water turned on and lend you the money to put the septics in. We're hoping that, you know, between the people that live there, that now they can go to their banks and say, hey, I put a septic in, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be a year-round house. I mean, I think it'll be really good for the neighborhoods down there to be able to have that, money available to start doing this stuff. So, and we're all for it, we're not trying to stop anybody, we're just trying to make sure it gets done properly.
How does the Title V relate to the domestic water? Just for my clarification, you're not transferring titles.
No, but you're increasing the flow from seasonal to year-round.
Yeah, so now
when-
you're adding flow to, if it was seasonal, now you're adding more flow to that area, which is nitrogen sensitive anyways. And unfortunately, a lot of people have cesspools.
Are you citing a reg, or is
Yeah,
it?
that's
We
Title
have
V.
a reg, we can make it available to you.
Okay, yeah.
We have a reg called, and it's been in place since last year, upon change of use. And that doesn't have to be specifically just for that area, it could be from a house going to a restaurant going to a house. Once you change the use of that property, it triggers this
If you could make that
regulation.
available, that'd be great,
Sure.
because the layperson's gonna say, I'm not transferring title,
Yeah.
you know, typical Title V regs.
It's on our website, and I can make it available, where you can pass it around, because it actually goes through the whole procedure, the application process.
Well, Title V also has increase in flow, and obviously going from seasonal to year-round is an increase in
Yeah.
flow.
You know what,
But that's why we made these regs, to try to work, specifically to work with you guys, to
Great
try to
idea.
set this all up.
Just, I mean, from a homeowner's perspective, you've got the betterment for the water mains going in, now you've got a tie-in fee that's adding a couple $1,000, and you're gonna saddle people with a $15,000 or an $18,000 bill to put a system in. It's overwhelming to some of the residents. So the more information, the better to try.
Yeah, but again, that's why we did it the way we did, so if you just really use it seasonally as it is now, you don't have to spend the money for a septic system. That's why we did what we did. So we didn't wanna make the people that really only use them seasonally have to have that expense right now, cause they're not transferring ownership. And we did that, we passed that reg to cover ourselves to say it's not an increase in flow, cause they're staying seasonal.
Sure.
So, believe it or not, we spent a lot of time trying to specifically make sure we could help you guys as much as possible and still do it
We
legally.
took like a year of, we
Yeah.
had a consultant come in and advise us on some different
Oh, yeah.
things with lakeside communities like this and how to do it. So we're doing the best thing to help you guys and help the town at the same time and help the
Yeah, it's a little
neighborhood.
sticker shock for people, so the more information, the better to try to get
Yeah.
these people to get it out to.
And again, you don't have to put a septic in. If you say I'm only gonna use it seasonal and
so-
sign that, you don't.
Inspection though, that everybody has to have a Title V
$500.
inspection.
No, well,
Nope.
that's what I was gonna say.
No,
If-
or
if
you
I
put,
wanted to
or you
say
put a
I'm-
deed restriction on that says I'm only using it seasonal and the water's gonna be shut off in the fall, you don't have to do anything
But
except
if I
sign
don't-
that.
Let's say I have a cesspool.
Yeah.
I know it fails,
Yeah,
I'll let the clock start ticking, but I still have to have someone come in and do.
No,
No,
No.
it says here, you can either have them,
That's in our regulation also.
yeah, you can have them
You wanna
do a
read
Title
that
V, or just a letter of confirmation
That has failed.
that it's
Right.
failed.
And
So an
So you
engineer
can
can
save
write
that
it,
money.
that letter of
Yeah.
con-
an engineer could write it, a Title V
well,
inspector
but
can write it.
what I guess what my question is, so say I wanna come in and say, yeah, give me the deed restriction, I'm only using it seasonal. I'm getting the permit without a Title V inspection.
Yeah.
Correct.
So you guys aren't even looking at me.
yep.
No well
But the
testing.
water's supposed to be getting shut off in the fall and we're gonna
Right, well
expect
then
them to
that's up
shut
to
it
me
off
to
in the
make sure
fall.
that I'm not, and obviously if people are using it past that time, they're gonna have to be,
Well,
but-
no, whoever the water association company is we're gonna expect a letter from them
Right.
saying that they shut it off. And if the
Right.
people's didn't get shut off, then we're gonna come
Yeah,
and
I mean, honestly,
take
we don't
action.
want seasonal people, cause we need to have the revenue, but we also don't want pissed off customers, so if they can avoid having to do a Title V, we might end up with a handful of seasonal, which we already are gonna have a handful.
It's gonna be more than a handful. But,
Yeah.
you know,
But
some
that's
some
good
will
to go
be
back to them and
seasonal,
tell them they're not
some
even gonna
won't.
have to even
But we'll be able to
face
tell if
an
they're,
inspection.
if
You're
the
not
meter's
gonna, you're not
running or
gonna be
not.
using that water.
Yeah,
Right.
so we'll know because the meter's running. So if the meter's not running, they're not getting water.
And now while we're talking about, the water down there, have we addressed what they're gonna do with the houses once they turn off the seasonal water that's not gonna be turned back on this year? That people that don't tie in? I know we brought that up at one of the meetings and it never
Does
really got
The
addressed.
people that are,
Oh, that have declined to take our
Declined to
services.
take, and now you're gonna shut off the old water system.
Yeah.
So there's
But
gonna
only
be no
for-
water going to these houses.
right, but it's gonna be whatever you did before. But you mean
Which
people like
isn't
were previously on
really
it?
legal.
No, his
No.
question is if they haven't paid the 5,000 to tie in.
Oh, they 100%
We've only
declined.
had one
Just one.
house
Okay,
adamantly refused to tie in,
right.
that was a seasonal only, and, we have 81 tie-ins so far, and there was only one decline out of 82 houses that had to be tied in.
Because just under Title V, I mean, without water, you
It's
can't.
inhabitable.
It's inhabitable, so.
We
Especially
told-
with the water there, the
Yeah.
option
Yeah, there's-
for it.
there's only
Even
one
once water
person.
gets turned
we
off,
told
if they're
them
not
that.
tied in,
We
it's,
even made them sign
it's
Yeah, but-
paperwork acknowledging
by
that.
Title V,
But that
you
one
have to
person
have
there
water.
hasn't even been down here in years, he's like in his 90s.
Yeah.
So, he's,
And just so I wanna make sure everyone's aware of that fact,
That's not Title V, that's housing now. If you don't have water and if you don't have sewage, we can condemn, the board can condemn a home.
No, we've had almost 100% compliant.
and that guy actually paid last year, he just is.
And again, that's
doesn't
not
wanna
something
pay.
this board made a
go
rule
forward.
for that's
Yeah.
on housing, it's no way around it, you have to have
It's very
water and
specific.
sewer. So if it gets, it's getting shut off this year or not even getting turned back on?
That's not correct.
The old
The old system
is
will
still on?
end up going back on next year for the people, in the event that we don't have it completed by next April.
Okay,
Yeah, we're trying to operate so that we can reopen it again next year if needed.
okay,
You know, but half the system should be down this season, like the top half of the hill shouldn't be.
Upper and lower hill, and then it's like the lower streets, the numbers in Shore Route, that may end up waiting.
Okay.
Is it possible to get an update on the whole project?
as it's going,
No.
because we
Like
haven't
right
had any
now?
updates.
Do you guys have any?
Because I know
updates?
you're gonna turn on the water the 19th this month,
The seasonal water.
seasonal water.
Okay.
And then when would you turn it off?
Well, it would go off in October because we operate 179 days under the old system. The new system will be year-round, but the building that has the pump house
Which is
and
coming
all
in.
that,
The
that's
ninth,
coming
yeah.
in.
16.
16.
Yeah, and testing for the water treatment plant was supposed to be in July, but everything is running a little behind. It was supposed to be December, now it's July,
December,
so.
February, June.
But everything just takes longer, so in a perfect world, we'll have all the new lines in and people will be tied in, the pump house will be up and running and everybody will be on all good water come October, but we can't guarantee it yet because of
Mid-June is the
delays.
anticipated turnover date where it would be ready for testing and things like that. So construction of the site to supply water to those lines, mid-June, so we've been told.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for anybody else to see if we
Pretty
can clarify?
I just know there are people that have deed restrictions on their property now
Mm-hmm.
because they had to put them on when they got their Title V permit over the years. So part of getting the Title V permit to upgrade, they had to put the deed restriction on. So
Those were for tight
basic-
tanks, I
Yeah.
believe.
I don't think they were all
No,
tight
they're
tanks.
all
It- it-
not
it-
tight
it would
tanks.
Some of them
depend.
might be bedroom
So-
restrictions, not seasonal.
Yeah, they can
No,
remove the
no.
seasonal part only, but if they had a 2-bedroom deed restriction, they were too close to somebody else as well, whatever it was.
Yeah,
But they can only remove the seasonal part if they get the water,
okay.
correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
And and the
Yeah.
past Title V.
And a
And
pass,
that's
yeah.
good to know that most people are tying in because that's gonna make it way easier if you used to put septic systems in. If one person
Right.
didn't put it in, that might affect 10 houses trying to stay away from the well, so
Yeah.
hearing that many people are on board for it is gonna make it real easy for the people who have to upgrade.
Right.
Cause then we can let them put them anywhere.
We did tell, the people at our different meetings that the town had the funding for Title V.
Yeah.
So that's why and I let them know that you're trying to work with us. So, that part about putting deed restrictions on, that's why I was, had to make sure, that I put that out there just because, that's scary to people. So we're not, we didn't know about that until right now, that you're gonna do
Well,
that. But
for
I
all-
understand,
Well, for
I
all these
absolutely
years,
understand
you
why,
haven't
though.
had to have a deed restriction, but they were seasonal by law because they didn't have year-round water. So they've all been seasonal all this time by Title V and by the state DEP because if you don't have year-round water, you've never had a year-round house. So that's not our rules, that's the state law, so
Right, but you know
those are
that
law,
they were,
so we
all used
never,
to be cottages.
so we never made people put seasonal restrictions, at least I haven't, because I knew they were seasonal, they didn't have water all year, there was no question about it. We didn't make hundreds of people pay to do deed restrictions. But now we're saying if you wanna hook up to that line and you're not gonna fix the septic, then you're gonna have to have it on until what time you or the next buyer, whoever, wants to get a Title V or fix a septic system, and then it can be year-round, and you won't even have to come to a board meeting, you'll just have to come down, get it squared away, and we'll take it off.
And also, two to 3 years ago, we changed tight tank to make that able to go to year-round. Before, through DEP, it used to only be seasonal, you couldn't have a tight tank for year-round.
Yeah.
So we voted through the board to change
People
that.
have come in and changed their
'Cause
seasonal.
There's a lot of, well, there's
Oh,
at least a dozen down there, tight tanks.
Yeah.
And now they can be
Interesting that we can share
year-round,
that.
if they want to be.
Yeah, it's expensive though, but
You
it
should
all
have to-
depends on how you use it, but it's
Oh, I mean, especially if
expensive.
someone's trying to sell their property and there's a deed restriction on it, I mean, people are trying to sell, and that is a deterrent.
Right.
Well, it's not gonna be though, because the deed restriction's gonna say as soon as you put in a new septic system, it can be year-round. That's making all the houses worth a lot more money, in my opinion, and that's what I do for a living. I mean, you take a seasonal house that didn't have water, and now all of a sudden, it can be a year-round house. We all know that's raising the value a ton. I mean, because they know they can put a septic system in now, they know they can make it year-round.
Or even
Before
with a
there was
tight tank.
yeah, there was a ton of questions before, could it be, is there gonna be room, can we make it work, there's no question now. You get the water, you can put we made it so you can put tight tanks in. Anybody can convert their house to year-round now, so that made all the houses worth a lot more money, so.
Which helps tax.
Anybody does have a tight tank down there too, they could also apply for that, the betterment too, to make a full system too.
Yeah.
You know, it would be a little less expensive, because they already got the tank there, you can just add on, and then it'll make it a little bit easier too, it's another option.
Did you have a question?
I do have a question actually, since you're talking about existing, Title V. I have a passing Title V from when I just purchased.
Yeah,
And I do plan on tying into the water. Now, is there anything else that I have to do?
no, they're good for 2 years, right?
Yeah, they're good for 2 years, but if you pump each year, you can extend it for the third year.
Yes, you're gonna be
Okay, so
fine.
there's like nothing else that I would have to do in order to get that deed
The well.
restriction lifted once I'm tied into the water? Like,
No,
there's no additional?
no, we have that on record already, you'll be good to go.
Use seasonal water?
Currently.
Currently,
Okay.
yes.
But
Yeah.
if there's any wells within 100, I believe this says, still, right?
What?
I was reading through it. I think
Yeah,
you
we'd
have
have to-
any, abutter wells need to be tested if they're not tying in. I think it says any wells within 100. I read this earlier. Am I correct on that, Kevin?
Yeah, I believe so.
So if you had an abutter's well within 100 feet,
But she might have did that already if she did her Title
Yeah,
V.
she got a
Fine,
clean,
should
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
No, if you have
Yeah,
a, this is going the wrong
If you did your
way.
Title V, you would have done that.
Yeah, if you have
That's
if you have a
requirement.
clean Title V, you're good for 2 years.
Okay,
So all you'll have to do is, we should have a copy of it, you can come down when you apply for your water connection and you'll be able to get it the same day. You're
Okay,
good.
because I've already applied and it's paid for, paid in full, so is that something
To
that
the
I should-
building department?
To us.
No, yeah, you paid for the connection to us, but you didn't, get the plumbing permit from the
Yeah, you
town.
need a plumbing
For the
permit to
plumb.
tie in.
Oh, I see.
And that's
okay,
what this is gonna, this is gonna let Kevin sign off on the, plumbing permit, either way, so that they can tie
So you
in.
went through the whole process already.
Yes,
That's good.
so should I get the plumbing permit soon, or is there like a timeline to that?
Doesn't matter for us, however you do it, but you're good.
How long is the plumbing permit open for? Like, if we got it today, when does it expire?
That's what, I
Just
can,
out of
I can
curiosity.
follow
Yeah.
up with that question.
Just so someone could like.
I
she
can
could-
give
she
it,
could
I can
get
send it to
now
both
and
of you
then-
guys.
Yeah, okay.
And for the record, because you're the president, you wanna just state your name?
My name's Steve, no, it's, Patricia Welch, Coxwell's Water Corporation, I'm the president.
Along the lines Nicole just had, what if your Title V system is 5 years old? Now I have to hire an engineer and a person to come out and do a Title V inspection?
Yeah, unfortunately, systems can, if they're not taken care of, they can fail in between that time. So if you have if you did your Title V, you can extend it the third year if you pump each year. But they're only good for 2 years. If you pump each year, you can extend it for the third year. But if 5 years already, it has a deadline. You can't.
So a lot of people that are getting the plumbing permit are going to have a Title V inspection, even if they have a newer system.
Yeah.
And you gotta really think about it. You're gonna put clean water down there now. I'm not saying the other one wasn't clean, but clean water down there. And we just wanna ensure that the systems are also not gonna impact that area.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be, that whole place is, like you said, the value, I think it's a win-win, the
And
whole
but the
thing.
amount of water going in the ground and the nitrates is gonna quadruple. It's gonna, once everybody starts year round and they're running water all the time, I mean, and, you know, we still gotta protect the other people's wells who haven't tied in yet and all that kind of stuff, so.
Well, we just wanna be able to tell everybody the right information, that's why
Yep.
we're asking the questions.
Yep.
And if you have a certificate of compliance, if your system was installed within the past 2 years, that will pass as a Title V.
Correct.
Yeah.
So any system previously installed in the past 2 years, you don't even need a Title V. All you need
You
is
have, you
your
have that one that you
certificate of
Yeah.
compliance
Mm.
that's issued from the Board of Health at the time of system
That's another
installation.
good point, yep.
So that will save them a Title V
So
inspection.
we bring that, when the plumber applies for the permit, just include the Title V
Five.
compliance.
Yeah, certificate of compliance.
Yeah.
and
They'll
it-
save some
and it has the
steps.
date on it, and
Yeah.
then they'll just check off.
Yeah, cause we sign off on every building permit and stuff in town, so for us to sign off, so they'll issue the permit, we're gonna either need the Title V, certificate of compliance, or a deed restriction.
And if there's already a deed restriction on the property for a 2-bedroom, pre-existing, like you said, there's some down there, they won't have to record anything, that'll.
Well, no, a
pass.
2-bedroom will just
Well,
seasonal
not a
come off.
2-bedroom, but
Yeah.
a seasonal.
Yeah, if
Just
there's
do a
already a
seasonal
seasonal
restriction.
restriction, you don't
Already
have to do
seasonal on,
anything.
You don't even have to go get that step done. If you're staying seasonal, if that's what they choose.
That's excellent information. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Alright, everybody good?
Good.
Alright, we didn't have to do nothing, right?
I don't think we have to vote, because it was all pre-voted.
Yeah, it was all done.
It's all in the
Okay.
packet.
Yeah, and they don't, I left this guy, this application for you guys. If
Okay.
you wanna overlook at it, see if you wanna add anything for the next meeting.
To
We can,
approve.
we can just,
Thank
if
you.
you're
Thanks,
gonna make
guys.
some changes.
Thank you.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Most of what we talk about is probably in here.
This is more people than we get in 6 months, so yeah, I should bring up something with Clark Shores every once in a while, just to get an audience in here.
Call us.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll review this.
Yeah.
It might be in there, just not worded the way that you put it.
Yeah.
I think we got it in a bunch of different places, and it probably isn't all put together.
Wanna just say it?
Yeah.
That was very good.
I'll make a motion that to get a plumbing permit, they have to have a Title V, that's still good, a certificate of compliance that's still current, or a seasonal deed restriction to have the Board of Health sign off on the plumbing permit before they can hook into the year-round water.
And Kevin has the authority.
And Kevin has the authority to do it.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. There we go. We're solving all the world's problems tonight.
Yeah, so-
Thank you.
We're
So you
good.
have the
So
authority
maybe
to-
we should add
Yeah,
that,
thank you.
that deed part in here, maybe.
Okay, yeah, that's great, I'll do that. So if I go ahead, deed restriction.
Yeah, add that in, that you need one of these 3 things to get your plumbing permit.
1 of 3.
And look at solving all the world problems.
Okay, that's it on that. We're going to old business, there's nothing.
Yeah, there is.
Approval of meeting minutes.
No, go back to old business. Under old business, we met last night, not on camera, to discuss the, Fall River opioid initiative, or
Yeah,
whatever it's
Bedford,
called. We continued that meeting until tonight, so we could have more time to talk about it before we made a decision to the selectmen. So that would be under old business, so we can talk about that and go over it with Kevin and, make a vote, and then we can do the rest of it. Not that I'm trying to make it longer, but
I had that
that's what we did, we had to do it.
Alright, and then we'll have to do meeting minutes. I'll just write something down
Yeah.
for that last night.
Yeah, well, we just said it, so the girls can make the minutes off of what I just said, that's all we did, we opened the meeting
6:35.
at 6:35, we made a motion to continue it to tonight's meeting, and then we closed it,
6:40.
done, alright?
Alright.
So I'm hooking you up tonight.
Alright, so this is under the
Like, and then we'll
correspondence.
speak it
We
for my-
discussed this.
for my meetings.
Makes it quicker.
Yeah, Vicodin's good for me.
February 20th of 2019, we discussed, Kevin, we'll just
Comment.
go back and,
Yeah, and,
because we didn't vote
no,
on
you
this.
didn't vote, so
And the
on
selectmen had
that meeting,
questions.
at that meeting, I reviewed
This is
what,
the- Packet
Yeah.
from that meeting.
so, I think it was that same day, we met on a Wednesday, those folks had asked us if they could come and meet up with us that night. I mean, that day that they were here. Nate was present, our fire chief was present, and the two individuals from the New Bedford Board of Health. They had brought to our, they had said that they have a grant, and the grant is about, I just made some notes. The grant was for substance abuse prevention. They focus on primarily prevention of substance abuse in kids under 21 of all drugs. Also prevention in non-fatal and fatal overdoses. They had told me the benefits of the programs is they work with the fire departments, police, and hospitals. When they're in the hospitals, they can implement some more counseling, not just for the person that has the addiction, but also the family members. Another benefit was they go to the schools, they do it. And they go as young as the elementary schools, and they educate them on substance abuse, some gang education, violence, and they don't just go once a year, they go periodically. So they build a relationship with the kids. The main thing with this is if you join the grant, you're required, one person from the board, it could be anybody, but from our town, would have to go to 2 meetings a month. They could run from,
It's one meeting a month.
one of them said to one half and the other to the other one. From what I was
So I read
reading.
it again today, just
Yeah.
to try to be fresh. Yeah, but it said one meeting a
One
month, and
one
then
of them is
one
for
a quarter.
SAPC and the other one is for, but they have those, they
Both
have,
of them quarterly though?
maybe, yeah, so maybe I'm,
Alright, that's what.
so in those meetings, they had said, it's more to report back to, the boards, and if you did wanna implement other programs, you'd be on the hook for those, so. I was talking to one of our selectmen, and he did say, even if we did it on our own to the schools and stuff, but the good thing is, Freetown is part of that, so they're gonna be in the schools anyways. And I was just thinking,
Freetown, Lakeville.
yeah, and I was thinking, for Fairhaven, I think joined, Wareham, and New Bedford's in it. But there is a requirement, I would have to do a couple of meetings, or I had to do those meetings, but there could be a good benefit to the town. It was just more of, they came to us.
But other than the education,
Yeah,
I had lunch, he's not a selectman anymore, but he's still a citizen, so he has his right to his concerns. His concern
course.
was that it's another non-funded mandate, that whatever this board decides to implement, we're gonna have to do, and the state's not gonna give us the money to do it. So where's that money gonna come from?
So if you read, I was reading through it today, so New Bedford is
they're the primary.
they're the primary
Yeah.
person that will manage and run it, all the grant money.
Yeah.
And they send the people, they pay the people, and they send the people out to the schools and to do all that other stuff. You don't have to do it. Then when
But to do
Kenny
the
goes to
communities,
meetings,
they need,
The cluster communities.
They need to
yeah,
have
the
the
cluster committee, they
communities.
need the ones that say, you gotta come to this meeting, cause this is what we're doing in your schools and this and that. You have to,
well, and they'll let Kevin know what's optional, and
Yeah.
you can take it to the school, or there's all kinds of stuff.
and they might say, hey, fentanyl is a big thing. When you go to those meetings, they might say, oh, this is what's going on now. Cops are dealing with fentanyl. I don't know much about this stuff. I'd have to go and learn. And they just give you different things where you could report back. You could actually talk to your fire chief or police chief and say, is there anything we can do? Whatever it is, because it is a crisis. And they've identified it as all those communities as a grant.
Now,
I brought it to the board.
at that first meeting, was the police invited or just the
I
fire?
invited Frank,
Yeah.
but he was on vacation now.
Okay, so just the fire.
So our fire chief he actually knew the person that was there. I guess they went to school with
Were
each other.
they kinda on board with it? Were they?
The fire chief definitely was, because he actually gave him a contact number at the Morton Hospital.
Yeah.
Because obviously, when they transport people there, they're already in that. So the police are involved when they go to a scene,
Yeah.
especially the fire as well. And they're able to all connect as a network. When they go to the hospital, they'll be able to identify those individuals, because a lot of times when they go to the hospital, they put it as non-responsive, but they should write,
Is the big
yeah,
one.
they should write substance abuse, so you have more data.
Well,
And then there's when the counseling can happen, and especially, which I like, the family members can get some counseling, because they're the ones that are probably hurting the most, because even though the individual has to actually admit that he has a problem, he or she, but the families can get some resources, you know?
Right. So, well, I guess my concern is, now, if it definitely is 2 meetings a month, that's quite a bit for just you in general to be missing.
Yeah, that's
And
why,
how
that's
long
why
are
that.
meetings and where are the meetings? They're gonna be in Bedford every time?
Mostly New Bedford, yeah.
And
That's
how
why I can
long-
understand why the board had a,
Yeah.
the selectmen and the board had a
Right,
concern,
especially
because,
all coming from,
yeah.
now would the fire department, or maybe the police department, maybe wanna help and see if they could send a
Maybe
person
rotate.
instead of,
You know, different month,
Just
a different rep goes.
Like, they do say like
We do.
a representative, I could ask.
Do we have a copy of what the selectman was supposed to sign? Cause he was concerned that
The
if,
MOU, that's what I read, the MOU, the memorandum of
Yeah, I can-
understanding.
Is it not there? I can go print
I
it out.
don't have that.
So I think there might be a thing in there too for one official, I don't know, like an elected official to have to go like quarterly or annually, I think too.
There was, I can read through that again, it says quarterly.
That one says quarterly
It says there's a quarterly meeting, which is mandatory,
and a monthly, right?
and then it said something about, under the cluster, the obligations.
One municipal representative and one local rep. As a regional.
Because on one of her emails, she said 1 to 2 hours a month, but then I saw another meeting, so that's probably the quarterly one.
So there's one municipal and one local rep for each town. I read about if we had to get out of it,
Yeah.
just 30 days notice. It's actually, you just write a letter.
Just terminate, I thought it said.
And they'll review the thing each year.
So there's no real money in the grant.
From my understanding, they take care of all
Well, it
the.
is,
So
but
it's just
Bedford
finance.
takes
The
all the
money.
money
yeah,
because they're
so,
managing.
so if we sign up, New Bedford probably gets more money. We don't get anything.
They take the money and they're managing the grant, and the people they're gonna hire to go do the outreach stuff, they'll send them to all the towns. So that's where we get the benefit, is those people going to the schools or coming to do a training with the firefighters or the police fighters, or, you know.
Did the schools sign off on this already for Freetown? That they're gonna let them
Yeah,
go in their
so
schools all the time?
One of the emails that I have, the health agent in Freetown had already talked to Richard Maderas, the superintendent, and he was in favor of it. But part of the email was, it's better with, in numbers, and he wanted to invite Lakeville part of it.
Yeah.
Since they're already gonna be in a shared school system.
There is no DARE program or anything like that anymore, so, I mean, it's something, it doesn't cost us any money.
Yeah,
Outside of
I
Kevin
just,
going to a meeting.
I don't even know why it's under us though, to be honest. Right? The EMTs deal with the overdoses, the police deal with the rest of them. Nobody
it's
ever
for
comes in
outreach.
here and says they have opioid
What's
issue.
the outreach and getting information out to the public, and they're gonna have people come into the town and go,
Yeah.
just, won't be just the schools, I think it'll be other
When,
places
when
too.
I got on the board now, 9 years ago Monday, you couldn't walk down there, you couldn't walk here, you couldn't walk over by the printer. Out there were boxes paddled to the sky, sex education, needles, everything. Right? Because another one program like this, here's all the stuff we got to educate. I said, look, we got to throw this stuff away. She's like, you can't throw it away. So I called the schools. I says, hey, do you guys want this stuff? They're like, no, we don't want any of that. They tried giving it to us before. We don't need any of that stuff. We had cases and cases of stuff, and then finally, again, it was another state program that they got the Board of Health in, and I finally one day when I was fighting with the woman, and I'm not going to say her name, and I said, how long have you been here? 12 years. When was the last time a kid came in here and asked for information about sex education? Never. Then I'm throwing the stuff away. I kept a few
Because they do it in
pamphlets.
school.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. I don't even see why the Board of Health's involved with this. We're not
Because the
involved in
grant
any
is,
aspect.
the grant is involved with the MAHB, the
Yeah.
Mass Association of Health Boards.
Yeah.
So we're in the loop, and it's Board of Health agents that are part, that's why we're involved.
Yeah, but the Board of Health
But it's a
agents
health
do
practice.
nothing with it though. We don't get involved.
I
That's
think
what I'd
the
like to
reason
see
for
if the
this
fire
stuff is going on is
police-
because 70,000 people died in 2017 from overdoses,
Yeah, but 20,
which is
less
more
than
than people
20,
that died in car accidents.
less than 20 died in Lakeville in the last 7 years.
that we know of.
Yeah, we had,
22.
we had
That we know
22
of.
from
Yeah.
2012 to 2017.
Cause I
And,
know,
15
I know
were-
at least one statistic that's not in there, that
Accidental.
lived here but didn't die here, so
Wasn't
it
that
didn't.
overdose? Yeah.
15 were an accidental overdose.
Yeah,
The other 7 were medical related from drug abuse.
yeah.
You
They
guys
died in
want,
the
I'll
hospital.
make a copy each one?
And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's a problem, thank God my kids didn't get on the stuff, but I mean, it's just, maybe because it's 9 years and I'm getting bitter, but I mean, I've seen a ton of these different things over the years, unfunded mandates, do this, get involved with this, and when, it's something we're not involved in, like, we don't, right, we've never had any,
Well, it
in
doesn't
9
cost us
years,
any
I've
money.
never even heard about somebody in
so
this
it's Kevin's
office.
time is all it's.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just
Yeah.
saying if we could
It's once a
clarify.
month, and then
Yeah.
and if we get a rotation between him,
We
and
could
the
ask
fire,
I would
it's
be,
even better.
Oh, yeah,
I could
the
ask
police
if you
and
get a-
fire wanna get involved too.
I think that would be better.
that would
Yeah,
be,
yeah, you know,
Even
it's
even
not
if
all
I
on.
asked Mike that, maybe, his
They
clerk
could
or
send
secretary,
somebody for one of the meetings.
wants to go.
And the police maybe could
here's
send
the
somebody.
MOU, just in case.
yeah.
When, another thing too, besides just paperwork and pamphlets too, I think like there's always new stuff coming out about what's going on. Like, I mean, up until a year ago, you never heard about like if a cop going into an overdose and there was fentanyl and he touched it, he could die.
Yeah.
There's little information that we might not know that could get out there and it could circulate
No,
amongst
again,
other people.
again,
so.
I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but over 9 years, none of the things that the states introduced were actually bad ideas. They actually had one idea that was a really good idea, but then they wouldn't follow through on it when a lot of the towns got involved. A lot of the local towns, I really thought it was a good idea. Gene Spalding thought it was a good idea. Some of the towns around here wanted to do almost like county boards of health. But, you know, because most of the country, boards of health are in the counties, not in the individual towns. And that would have gave little towns like us, who are responsible for everything, housing, septic systems, drugs, all these things, and it would have let us say, okay, well, at that time, maybe Kevin was the best restaurant inspector out of everybody, and maybe this other person's the best Title V inspector, and maybe this one's the best one with housing and knows how to go to the court. And like, I saw real value in that like, we would all
We
work
work with other
together,
towns.
and then the state just never funded it. Like, we did all this, we spent almost 2 years, and I used to go to those myself on my own time, not paid, I didn't have to send employees, and they just wouldn't do it. Then when it all came push to shove, and we got enough towns, we met the number that they said we had to have, then they just decided not to do it, because they didn't think they got enough interest in the state for it. Now, that was that was actually a really good idea, that I said, okay, well, this would make a difference in my town, it would get better services to people, and then they just don't do it, you know, but.
There's other counties that are set up better than our county, so that they probably said no, I would imagine.
Yeah, well,
That's why it
no,
just
all the
goes
little
through.
boards, when you go to these big meetings, they didn't wanna lose their power. Right, the little guy in some town, I won't say a name, that wants to sign his buddy's septic system and make his lot buildable, didn't wanna lose his power. Where I didn't care about it, I was fine to give my power away, cause Lakeville's such a small town, you'd be in jail in 30 seconds if you did that. So, but a lot of these people were on a big power trip, and the state never said, well, that's how we're gonna do it, we're gonna give it, like, I didn't know anybody who didn't think that was an amazing idea, didn't do it.
It is good to use all those resources.
But, you know, but then they'll do naked stuff, I mean,
I'm telling
the
you, other
oil tanks,
counties
all
have
these
more
things,
than
they
we
keep
do.
making all these
Other county
unfunded
commissioners,
things.
They have other things that we
You know,
don't have.
telling us to say, hey, will you send your agent here and here, we're gonna do this and this and this, but they're not paying for it, like, that's my whole thing. If there's a benefit, if there was gonna be a real benefit in our town, I mean, if the fire department was gonna get involved and send somebody to represent the EMT guys, because they're the ones who get the calls, right? We don't get a call when somebody overdoses, the EMTs get the call. Usually the police department's the first responders on the call, right? If the police are involved and they think it's worthwhile, right? If like the people that are actually involved and could make a difference in Lakeville wanna get involved, fine. I'll do it and say, send Kevin to meetings, I don't
So you
care.
wanna
I
have
can,
them
I can reach out to them.
reach out,
if you
we'll
guys-
Yeah.
continue to the next
I'll talk to
meeting
Mike and Frank.
and see if
Yeah.
they can help
I
with
think it's a good idea.
And
It
I'd
actually
like to
gets
do
everybody
it,
involved.
At least maybe, in my opinion, maybe even try it for a year,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't work out, you have 1 month, you can sign in and we'll just opt out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how we're gonna lose
I think
you,
that's a good idea.
but, you know,
Yeah.
2 times a month to go to meetings.
I agree.
Yeah.
You have so
I
much
thought
to
it was
do
a good
now.
idea, but I understand totally what the selectmen had said, where obviously I'm here to do a job, and they think it's a good idea,
And we
but
only have one
where am I gonna,
agent.
where am I gonna be, am I gonna be
Right.
stretched, you know what I mean?
Cause now you're not gonna be able to schedule, you know, perk tests, and
So
you
I
get
agree.
septic
I
inspections, there's
understand
nobody to
100%.
back you up. But maybe just see how long the meetings are, see where
Yeah.
they're at,
I can ask Mike and Frank,
and see if they
and
will,
see if they wanna send a representative, and I'll report back to the board if you want, next
next
meeting.
meeting.
Yeah, but if it's something that they wanna get involved with, I'm fine. And even if it does take some of his time, if we can see something worthwhile coming out of it,
They
But I-
talked about it at the last convention, like, and there's a lot, so there's so much more than what we talked
Yeah,
about.
we
He
had
gets
a
involved in it.
Yeah, but-
I can't remember
on the
the,
opioid.
it sounded
yeah, yeah.
pretty,
I was with you on that in
I'm like, it
November.
sounds like a positive thing in it. If it doesn't, I mean, yes, I
Yeah.
wouldn't want him gone twice a month either.
Yeah.
But it doesn't cost us any money.
yeah,
The
but
way I
I mean,
look
but
at it,
he's
we
gonna
got-
be gone twice a month, so Fall River can get money. Like,
New Bedford.
New Bedford, I mean, can get money, like, you know, and
Well, that's
and
why
that's
I'd
what
like to
Aaron
make
brought up
sure-
to me.
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah,
why,
if
why don't we get money?
Send them,
Well,
make
they're
sure they come
managing
to the
it, but we all
schools.
get
Yeah,
the
but
benefit.
they're the ones that'll be in the schools.
Yeah,
And it's, and, like I said, and
They're
the good
gonna
thing
manage
is,
the grant, is basically what
they
it is.
we could have
Well, I wanna make sure
our
they
fire
come to the
department, our
schools
police
in this
department,
first year
visit
and
the schools.
actually give a presentation at the elementary
Yeah.
level and the middle school and the intermediate school, and even at the high school.
Yeah, that's good, we get them at that young age.
Now, when they go do the presentations, I mean, even in the other towns, you're not required to go to,
No.
like, Fairhaven to their school, they,
No.
No, no.
I'll,
it's just a meeting.
from my understanding, no, I just go to those meetings, and they had said, because that was one of the questions that, our former selectman had said, what does it actually mean by more time would be needed if you did what? And it was if you implemented more programs. Obviously, if you went outside the box for them and said, oh, we actually wanna do this, well, then you're
You
gonna
have to
use your own
donate more
time,
time.
yeah. But if
In
the,
your-
if the fire chief and the police chief said, you know, we'd like to start this little program, I would bring it in front of the board and say, this is what they're doing, do you guys wanna input anything? Have, something presented there for a day, whatever it is, you know, we can always talk.
no, but I mean, yeah, I mean, if they're the ones who go, you know, like, if the police chief or fire chief goes to the school, you know,
Well, they
no
always- yeah,
they always
disrespect
do,
to a health
yeah.
member, but, you know, any of us, like, they're gonna look at us and go, what to help people, like, but if a police officer comes and tells them, we found this guy and he was dead and luckily, like, that, you know,
Yeah,
I,
that's when it
like, I
really-
just don't wanna, if he had to go twice a month, if it's gonna do something in Lakeville, if it's gonna help something, I'm fine with it, but if it's just another state mandate that Fall River, just like the thing making the smoking age 21, the state's always trying to hit the towns up to do their dirty work. Oh, here, you guys sign up for this, your agent gotta go twice a month, I'm gonna give the money to Fall River. Like, I need to know it's gonna make an impact in one kid's life in Lakeville, and then I'll say, take the time, but if it's, I mean,
Yeah,
if it's
hopefully-
not, like
hopefully
you
it
said,
does.
they're already gonna be there anyway because Freetown's doing it, so, you know, but, like I said, if the police and the fire think it's something, if they're the ones who know more than us, no matter what they call it, they're the ones who are at every single call, they know the
opioids,
frequency,
yeah.
they know if it's reported or not and how it's
Yeah,
reported.
I know Mike really,
Yeah.
it was a good meeting, I think,
Okay.
he really enjoyed
Well,
it.
reach out to.
I
Everyone.
respect both of those guys and I respect you. I mean, I just, maybe because I've been here the longest, so that's why I question all this stuff. I've just seen so many unfunded mandates. The state
Yeah.
comes up with all these bright
That emergency
ideas,
preparedness.
which all sound good,
Yeah, no,
right?
yeah.
I don't
Everything
think-
sounds
this wasn't
good.
a state thing though. It was,
Yeah, but he's right though, with the emergency preparedness, it's
Backup
great to have a
response.
backup plan in case of emergency, but it's all unfunded.
Right, everything we have
Everybody's all
lined up.
volunteers, you guys are all on the list, you guys show up to those things and we do the calls, but it's all, the good part
Unfunded
is, in
volunteers.
case of emergency, we get our medication first,
but that's
before
not
we
even a
work.
state thing, that's a federal.
Yeah, that's the federal
Yeah.
mandate.
And I was the only one here in a real emergency. And you know what happens in a real emergency? One of the selectmen just takes over and runs the whole thing. And when the health agent says, oh no, the state thing says I'm responsible for this, they just look at him and they're like, okay, Kevin, go back to work. Like, and they just do what they want.
Yeah,
And I
National
saw
Guard
it
comes in.
firsthand and then I just
Yeah.
said, well, what can I do to help then?
It's
So,
a different personality.
no, somebody always gets on a power trip in these things.
Alright, we're moving on from that one, Bob.
Are we
I'm
done?
Cutting it short.
So you're gonna find
We're done
out if
on
they
that.
wanna do it, we're gonna do it.
Definitely, I'll report
Continue
back
the
to
next
the board.
meeting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, awesome. Alright, so now we're going to approve the meeting minutes from March 20th, 2019 as typed. All three of us were present at that meeting.
Does anybody have a problem?
do not, we had the public hearing on that date. It's all on one, so, Bob, we approved the public hearing and then the meeting minutes, or just all of them as for the entire night?
I think we have to do separately, even though they're typed. They actually probably should be typed as two separate meetings too, I'm thinking. Or does it have an actual, I didn't notice, does it have an actual break on when we?
There is, right here.
Oh, all right then.
Yeah, it has
So-
two highlighted,
so I-
6:08 and the time,
All right, so I guess we can make a motion to approve the Board of Health minutes from 3/20/19 at 6:03 as typed, making a note that it included a public hearing that started at 6, and then the actual Board of Health meeting started at 6:08. Is that correct? We only
Yeah.
did that for
It was
6
quick when we
minutes?
showed up.
Yeah,
Quick
oh yeah,
moment,
that's
yeah.
right.
It was just for this
Okay,
drive-through.
you guys good with that?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
No,
Then at least it'll be noted. No, I said including both of those.
including the 6:08. Okay.
Yeah.
Done with that. Kevin, going on the announcements, you wanna do the rabies?
Yeah, sure. Rabies clinic is this Saturday, April 6th, 2019. The time, dogs from 1:30 to 3 p.m., cats are 3 to 3:30. The fee is $10 per dog or cat. Location is the Highway Barn at 6 Montgomery Street. It's sponsored by the Town of Lakeville Board of Health and the Lakeville Animal Hospital. Dog licenses, additional requirements to obtain a license, you need a current rabies certificate and sprayed and neutered certificate. Dogs and cats must be at least 3 months old. For safety reasons, dogs must be on their leashes, cats must be confined in a safety carrier. The animal shelter will also be open for adoption of animals.
Okay.
That's this
And is
Saturday.
this posted on our website?
It is.
Okay, and anybody can look that up on the website if they have any information or they wanna attend. Okay,
And that is it on the agenda. Any other comments? Anybody?
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.